Hi there, everybody. I'm Jennifer Angel, Executive Consultant and Professional Astrologer. Okay, let's have a look at what's going on in February. All right, so as usual, the year is just like, whizzing by. So there's some great things going on in February. So I hope you all, have got things together and had a good start in January, because right pretty well at the start of the month, around the 5th, then we do have a full moon. Now, a full moon is great. It generally brings like things to conclusion, like, anything that you've had confusion about, or you're just not sure, what's happening, or having difficulty making a decision, then the full moon really helps you to just gain clarity and get things sort of happening and close them off and start. Because the moment that you close something off, guess what? That then makes that space for something new to come in. I mean, sometimes when we just have too much going on, then what happens is our focus is diverted and we come a little sort of scattered. And then when we become a little overwhelmed and scattered, guess what? We start to procrastinate. Okay. So I like this full moon. It's in Leo, which means the moon's in Leo. The sun with the full moon means you've got the axis of the moon and the sun is opposite in Aquarius. Now, both of these signs are fixed. So even though it can, bring things to conclusion, there is a little bit of I don't want to say aggressive, but I do want to say you want to stay clear of aggressive people, because what's also happening at this exact time is that it's going to square Uranus in Taurus. So you've got this sort of square, this 90 degrees happening from the sun in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, and the moon in Leo. So all fixed signs. All right. So, and the point about that with the fixed signs is that, once a fixed sign gets an idea and makes a decision, it's pretty hard to change it. Like you have to come up with a good reason, or make logical sense for it to be changed. So in that case, if you like trying to push and get your own way, or God forbid, trying to change someone, which never really works, because people really have to make that decision for themselves, and then you can support them. But particularly a fixed sign, if you're trying to, change them, and it's not just this sign, it's just the vibratory energy for, at this time, which brings in all the signs. So you want to just, and what's great about a fixed sign is that, like, they do get things said, they do get things done. It's like they make a decision, follow through and get it done. But at the same time, as I said, don't go trying to sort of change someone during this time. So you want to be a little bit careful of power struggles, all right, during this full moon. And sometimes, I might sort of add here too, sometimes you have to get to the point of having an upset or a little bit of a power struggle for you to realize that, I either can't change the situation, I can't change the person, and guess what? The only control I have is to be able to change myself. And that can mean change your attitude, the way that you look at things. Sometimes in life, we just need to agree to disagree, and that's okay. Like, everybody is entitled to the First Amendment. Everybody's entitled to have their freedom of speech and their thought. It's up to us to, realize that it's not a reflection on ourselves if someone else has a different opinion. It's simply that they have a different opinion. Now, of course, if you're with somebody that you have nothing in common with, and you're always having a different opinion and you're logging in, then maybe they're not the right person for you, but you're the only one who can work that out. So the message here really is, watch for closure, watch for the opportunity of closure, and then watch for the opportunity of something new. Like, the universe never has a void. And I've seen this happen many times, just with myself. Like, if you lose contact with a friend or someone around the world, I have a girlfriend who we used to talk around the world. We used to talk every day almost, and then she got a guy, and so the energy changes. There's not as much time. You don't sort of need to chat to your girlfriend every day. Of course, we're still friends. We've been friends for many, many years, but then someone else steps in to take that space, and it's really interesting once you start noticing how that dynamic between you and other people sort of sort out. It's sort of quite magical, really. So in this sense, with this format, you want to just once again, going back to these squares, you want to just watch out for, power struggles, people that want to just take control, people that want to just change you, just sidestep it. And the worst thing that you can do is get reactive, because that sets up like a reactive sort of situation where if you go, well, that's the way it is. They have their opinion, I have my opinion. Let's just agree to disagree, and don't react and step aside. Then it can blow over, and you can make your decisions from a less emotional stance. Okay, if that makes sense. All right, so at that same time, around about that same time as well, Venus is going to square Mars. Okay, so but this is in mutable signs. So Venus being in Pisces and Mars being in Gemini. I love Mars in Gemini because it's really quick thinking. You can get insights, amazing insights that make sense, and you go, wow, okay, let's pay attention to that and put that into action and move forward, because Mars is all about moving forward and putting things into action. So it can be a little impulsive as well. Okay, and with Venus, Venus and Mars together, they're like the love duo. Like, Venus is very romantic, and particularly in Pisces, and then Mars is more passionate. But Mars in Gemini is more verbal. Okay, so it's more communicative. So that can be nice, but it is a square. Even though a square in mutable signs is not as brutal, let's say, as in fixed signs, or even cardinal signs, but it's still a square, which is still a challenge on some level. So you want to be sort of careful of misunderstandings and jumping to conclusions, because let's not forget that Mars in Gemini loves to talk, and they're very creative and communicative, and Mars can be impulsive. So you want to just be careful of blurting things out that you may sort of later regret. Once it's out, it's out. So can't sort of get it back. So so just be mindful of that. All right, so moving on, there's quite a lot happening this month, and I'm just going to highlight on some of the major ones, not go through every single little aspect, but on the 10th, then we're going to have Mercury and Pluto, both in Capricorn, are going to conjunct, which means that they're together at the same degree. So you've got double energy, and Pluto is a very powerful energy, and and so, you know, put together with, and the conjunction is like, it's a trigger point, you know, it's like a trigger point for things to happen. It's like you clear the energy, maybe you clear the energy with the full moon, and now it's like, you know, you can get clarity. It's really a get, because it's in Capricorn, it's really a get down to business. Okay, it's a get down to business vibratory energy. And because of the Mercury, you know, energy, then it's also about problem solving. You know, you can really like, okay, where's this coming from? What's the cause? Let's go down a deeper level, particularly if it's about business. And, you know, let's like put in systems and make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. So, you know, sometimes when things go wrong, it's like a message to change things so you don't have to keep dealing with it. And sometimes if things just go a little bit wrong, it's like, okay, let's sort of put it on the list, but it's not a priority. So when it goes like you know, firecracker wrong, and say, okay, let's do something about this, and you change it, because then it gets up the top of the list, okay, the top of your priority list. So it's very much a problem solving. So yeah, like that. Of course, you know, I mean, when you look at the sun sign chart is one thing, but of course, where the real knowledge, information, and guidance comes from is how all these transits and aspects affect on your personal chart, your birth chart. I love chart work. It's so revealing. And in sense of here, it's transitory work. So, you know, we look at your chart and then we layer over the real-time transits and look at where it's influencing your life, how it's interacting with the other planets, real-time planets, and where in your chart, what area in your chart, life area it's influencing, and how it's reacting to your planets that are situated and fixed when you were born. So yeah, it's a very an interesting process for sure, and one I love doing. I love working with the chart. All right, so moving on. So then let's go to Valentine's Day. Yeah, the 14th. And you know, pretty well right on Valentine's Day, we're going to have the Venus. I mean, you know, Venus is the goddess of Valentine's Day, right? It's the relationship planet. And Venus is going to conjunct once again exact degree, so we've got double sort of vibratory energy there with Neptune, which is in Pisces. This is beautiful. It's like romantic and soft, and you know, it is beautiful. Yes, there is a but coming. You know? So in Pisces being, you know, super sensitive. If you know a Pisces, then, or someone who has a lot of Pisces in their chart, first of all, they tend to cry a lot because, you know, they touch the beautiful thing about Pisces energy is it's so sensitive and caring and beautiful. But the other side of that coin, or the other side of that zodiac energy, is they're super sensitive. So they can be sort of, you know, vulnerable. And, you know, if you're like, say you're an Aries, for instance, or where you're impulsive and, you know, you speak with, I mean, say, for instance, you have Aries in Gemini in your chart, then you're gonna like just speak off the cuff, like think it, say it. So not always really good when it comes to Pisces, that type of energy, because they take it to heart. And so you have to be a little bit sort of careful with that sense. So enjoy Valentine's Day. If you haven't got a honey to spend it with, then, get together with a girlfriend. I mean, it's just all about love, okay? Yes, yes, yes. I know it's traditionally about romantic, intimate love, but hey, let's stretch that. For us who do not have a special honey in your life, and just think about love and getting to know, and just reach out to the people that you love and show them some love and some gratitude. I'm really lucky and grateful to have you in my life. Thank you just for being here. Okay. So that's like a beautiful thing to do around that time. Okay, so moving on to around the 20th, we've got the new moon. And the new moon is going to be in Pisces. Yes, and at the same time, there's a couple of things happening around this new moon. First of all, the new moon is like a new beginning. So once we get into the new moon, in between the new moon and the full moon is called when the moon is waxing. So it's getting larger. So it's a great time to manifest, to bring things to you. Okay, in Pisces, it's romantic, you want it, and because of all that sort of going on in Pisces and a lot of energy moving into Pisces during this time, because as the sun moves in, it's going to be like happy birthday Pisces. I'm just looking to see when that exact date looks, around the 18th, 19th, depending on where you are in the world. And so, by the 20th, when we've got the sun and the moon together, we have that new moon, that beautiful new moon energy that just opens up to, what's next for me, what's next for you. And it's a time to really think about, particularly this time of year, what do you want your life to be? I mean, as John Assaraf would say, because I do a couple of his programs, I say, what do you want to trade your life for? I love that. It's so true. It's like, it gets you thinking. So with this new moon, because also it's right at the end of the zodiac, in Pisces, it's like, okay, and it's that area of dreams, hopes, and wishes, and also it's sort of like a destined area. It's the area of the soul to me. There's two positions in the chart that I feel are the area of the soul, and this is one of them. So it's like, okay, what do I want for myself? Like, what do I, as John would say, John Astroff would say, what do I want to trade my life for? Like, here's my life. What am I going to do with it? Okay. And I love that term. First time he said that, I thought, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I like that. So at the same time as this new moon, so as I said, there's a couple of other things happening around this new moon energy. And one is that Venus is going to move into Aries. Okay, so this is interesting because you've got all this sort of love and romance and intimacy and sensitivity happening in the Pisces, and when Venus moves into Aries, and like on that sort of like day, it's going to be moving in at 0 degrees, so it's called a critical degree, so it intensifies the energy even more. And Aries is very passionate, and it's like a go-getter and putting things into action. So this is a great time to make decisions particularly about your love life. Okay. And if you don't have a love life, then guess what? That's a decision to make too. Do you want a love life? Are you ready for it? Do you want to do some work where you clear up your love vibratory energy? What is your love story? And what is your past love story? Do you have repetitive there. I do have a love program, 5 weeks to, sort that out, just to work on yourself and open up more to attract love, not just any love, the love that you want. That's a 5-week program. You can go and have a look at that under the program section on jenniferangel.com. If you've got any questions about that, just reach out to me. You can book a what I call a coaching or program complimentary discussion, and we can see whether it's going to be a good program for you to do. Okay. At the same time, we have the new moon is 1 degree in Pisces. Saturn, which is about to move into Pisces in March, is like 28.30 or 28 point something. And in the sign before it, which is Aquarius. So they're conjunct, but it's an outer sign conjunction. And when we get on that 29.01 degree, once again, it's a critical degree. It intensifies the energy. And what's interesting about this is Aquarius is very forgiving, even though it's a fixed sign. It's still very forgiving because it's a social sign, it's a sign of humanitarian, and it wants to help people, and it wants to look after people, and it comes from that really heartfelt beautiful space. And with Saturn here at this 1 degree and conjuncting with the sun and the moon, it really brings in a little bit of more seriousness, but in a good way. It's okay, let's sometimes it's let's get down to business. This one I feel it's let's get down for us. What is it that we want, and what is it that we want for our relationships and our love life? And so if you've been in a relationship for a while and it's at that point, there's certain stages in a relationship, I feel, that the stage of break it or make it stages, okay? And the new moon can be one of them. I mean, put Saturn in there as well, then okay, where do we go from here? Because do we transit into the next stage of our relationship, or do we back out of it? So with Saturn, it sort of gets a little more serious about it, and you can talk about commitment, talk about moving your relationship to the next stage. And if you're not in a relationship, then guess what? Maybe this is the time that you will decide to put yourself out there a little more, whatever that means. Of course, all the dating seems to be on the apps these days, so so whatever that means. So it might just mean that you're going to do some work on yourself and open up more for love, and do that opening up before you actually step out. Okay, so it can mean sort of anything like that, so it's not necessarily just for couples. All right. So yeah, so that's sort of a really interesting little sort of side vibe on all that. And then the month closes off right at the end of the month and sets the scene, and the vibratory energy moving into March is that Venus and Jupiter, which is my absolutely most favorite connection, planetary connection of all. Venus is conjunct Jupiter, and it's in Aries. So this is interesting because the Venus Jupiter energy is it's just beautiful, and it brings up opportunities, it opens the doorway, typically opens the doorway for love, but let's not forget that Venus is governs love and money, and let's not forget that Jupiter is the planet of abundance, expansion, and growth and transformation. So, you know, depending on how this is sitting in and influencing your personal birth chart will depend on what area and what area that of life that it sits in your birth chart will depend on the influence that it has on you. And you know, when I do chart work, I look at your sun sign influence on the solar chart and the influence it's having on your personal chart. Of course, this is this particular chart work is like, you know, what's coming up for the next month. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then it's great to have that, you know, hour session sort of each month. Okay, so with let's get back to my favorite connection here, planetary connection with Venus and Jupiter. So in Aries, it's like the opportunities that come in and cross your path. Then with Aries, it sort of gives you the strength and the courage to go, okay, let's take a deep breath and let's just push through and let's do this rather than just sort of thinking about it. So, you know, this is a great, I mean, if it's about business, it's going to be business opportunities that provide good financial return. Because let's not forget that Venus rules 2 houses in the zodiac, the 2nd house and the 7th house. So it's about relationships and it's about your relationship with money as well, as I said earlier. So if it's to do with love, then things can blossom. You can either meet someone depending on where it is in your personal chart, or you can like have an opportunity to move forward. So this sort of moves on from that. There's a nice progression this month. And so this sort of moves on from that new moon energy. And so by the time that Venus conjuncts Jupiter in Mars, it's like, okay, now we've got that sorted out. Now we can actually move forward and do something about it, you know, make it real. So yeah, I like that very much. I like this month very much. But once again, it's about noticing. I mean, you can have all sorts of fabulous opportunities coming past or knocking on your door, so to speak, or tapping on your heart. And if you're like caught up in fear and stress and procrastination or confusion, then guess what? You might not even notice them. So first of all, it's about getting clarity, and it's about, you know, starting off my self-mastery program and the coaching programs. I take you through setting an empowerment and setting like every day when you wake up. Here is your tailor-made personal empowerment process that starts your day off inspired, empowered, and on purpose. Okay, and that's what I do, and that's what I love to do. If that sounds like great for you, you resonate with that, then I would love to work with you on that. As I said, I'll put my calendar link down below, and you know, if it's about you know, coaching and or programs, then just book a complimentary session. If you just want an astrology reading, well, of course, just go ahead and book that through the site. Okay. All right. Love, luck, and vision to you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your support. And I will see you again soon. Bye for now.